Good evening, everybody, and once again, welcome to the weekly Poro Report, your one-stop shop for all things Legends of Runeterra. As always, I am Smithel, along with my co-host Kozer, and this week we have a very special guest for y'all. We'd like to welcome Mavnis to the show. So, Mavnis, welcome, buddy. We appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. I don't know how familiar you are with the show, but one thing that we typically like to do is kind of open up the floor to the guests to kind of give an intro about who you are, what you do, what teams you're involved with, all that kind of good stuff. What got you into card games? What you like about Runeterra, what you don't like about Runeterra, all that good stuff. So, can you give us a little bit of background as to who you are, who Team IQ is, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. My name is Mavnis. Really, it's Freddie Crespo. I used to be the chief operating officer and general manager for an esports org called Force Esports. We were in a lot of different esports games: Rocket League, two-time world champions, CS:GO, Heroes of the Storm was our flagship game, Overwatch, which our team from Overwatch is now the Houston Outlaws. I've been in esports for a little while. When we dismantled GFE and sold off to Dignitas and Endemic and some other brands, I had decided I kind of wanted to compete in something myself again after helping everybody compete. Just managing an org for a little over 3 years. So I decided, what's the best thing for me to do, right? I kind of have like that hunger or fire. I'm kind of a boomer gamer, so I definitely can't, pick up the sticks like I used to. But I used to play Magic pretty competitively when I was younger. I started about the age of 15,
Okay.
and so I've been playing for a pretty long time, about 23 years now.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
had taken a big hiatus off from that though. I was playing some poker and doing GFP stuff. So when all that was over, I decided to see if I had what it takes to kind of come back and take it from there. And I went back, and within 18 months, I was back on the pro tour. I won a Star City Games Open, and that's kind of what got me here, I guess you could say, back into card games.
Okay. Now, how does something like Legends of Runeterra for you compare to Magic in terms of interest, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, the communities, all that good stuff?
Well, as for the game itself, the best way I can explain it to anybody, or I've kind of explained it to most people, is it's almost like Magic and Hearthstone had a baby, and it came out as Brian Kilmer. Everybody knows who that is, right? Good looking, charismatic, intelligent. I mean, the whole shebang, right?
Yep.
So Legends of Runeterra definitely attracted me, obviously because of the IP. Riot is a huge company, and they have done an amazing job with League of Legends, kind of making that game appeal to the casuals, but yet being super competitive, right?
Okay.
And that being said, what really drew me here though was the team behind Legends of Runeterra. Riot Umbridge, who happens to be Andrew Yip. I know him from Versus System. I was a pro in
Okay.
that as well. And it was many years ago, about 15 years ago or so.
Okay.
So I remember when he went to Upper Deck and had started his career over there in game design and things like that. Then you have Steve Rubin from also Magic the Gathering, who one of the lead balance guys. So the game itself just had a lot of promise from a design standpoint, especially with Andrew at the helm. Had a lot of faith in it, which is one of the best things I love about this game, the initiative system, which probably comes from Versus System originally, because it's something that's unique that most people haven't seen in other card games. And that's kind of what brought me to Legends of Runeterra to begin with, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew is by far, at least in my opinion, one of the best examples of somebody who really gives it all and gets behind their game and just does a fantastic job even interacting with like the community. You always see him congratulating people on Twitter that are hitting Masters or even Diamond or something like that for the first time. I mean, he just all around. I don't know him personally, but he seems like a really good guy. So, I'm very happy to have him behind, kind of behind the scenes here.
Yeah, absolutely. He's amazing. He's always been a great guy. He's super responsive. You can tell he definitely wants to, make the community and the game as best as possible, and I'm really excited for it. But now I guess we've kind of gone on to a new venture here with Runeterra, which is Team IQ. We just announced this week, and what Team IQ is basically a team of collective card gamers between Brazil and North America currently right now. We have a few different members. We have some of the ones I guess that most people would know would be Nola Gold, Sudra Khan, the Black Boss, which those two that I just mentioned and Ian Neguera have been like the three Brazilian players that have probably been performing the last 3 weeks or so pretty well.
Okay.
And yeah, so we're trying to take the game by storm, trying to provide as much amazing content as possible, which we have not unveiled yet, but that's in the works right now. We want to be able to provide high level content for players to get better, coaching, things of that nature. But most of all, we kind of just want to be the TSM of this game, if that makes sense. We want to really compete very heavily and try to make a playtest team that is conducive to a productive environment to actually produce results for us.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. I mean, I think that's really, really good. And I know some of the names that you mentioned are very, very well known in the community. So, I think there's nothing but good things ahead for you guys. So I'm very excited for that. But
Thanks.
yeah, so and I know you talked a little bit about the team and things like that this week and everything that's coming together. But one of the things that we do like to do when we start the show as well is kind of give a very quick week in review of how things are going for us in the game, what rank we're at, any major milestones, what we're playing, all that good stuff. So kind of as our guest, I'd like to open it up to you to let us know, how's been your week in lore going?
It's been good, actually. To be honest, I was a little disappointed last season. I tilted off pretty hard every time I got to D1 because I was trying to put the team together. We've been doing this for about 3 months now.
Yeah.
So, every time I'd go to D1, I would go all the way back down to D3, and it was a little frustrating. This time around, I piloted, burn for a little while to just get those quick wins. But for most of my wins, I did it with deep. And I'm currently in Masters right now, and top 1,000, trying to get into the top 100 currently. But I've just been practicing for tournaments and things like that. So I haven't been able to play as much ladder, but yeah, this season has definitely been good to me, especially since Deep happens to be my favorite deck, and I think it's the best deck in the format by miles.
Yeah, I mean, Deep definitely is a struggle to play against for some folks, and it's in a really, really good spot. And I keep trying to tell people too that are trying to find a way to climb into Masters here before reset, which we'll talk about when we get to the news section. But I mean, Deep has a lot of answers for these aggro decks that you're going to be coming up against, because everybody's going to want to just jam aggro to get as many games in as possible and kind of try to climb the ranks. So I have been consistently recommending to people that they play either Deep or the Endure deck right now that's going around.
Oh yeah, that Aristocrats deck is pretty saucy.
Yeah, it has so many win conditions, so it gives you a lot of chances to really close out games. It's been kind of my go-to right now for recommendations on folks. But so I mean, it sounds like at least you're kind of having a good week. Kind of wrapping things up. What about you, Kozer? How's it been?
Oh, it's been pretty good. I've been playing a little bit of ladder, but honestly, I just really focused on just getting my chest to 13 this week. Don't know why. I tried super hard to do it, and I did it. I think I had it done by Sunday.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, it's I played a little bit. Like right now, I'm sitting at plat 2. Me and Windmage did a little bit of co-playing yesterday, but it wasn't a great night. We'll put it that way. I wanted to switch between a couple of different decks, and honestly,
which decks were you trying?
I played Deep for a bit, Heimer Vi. I played Burn. Dude, at one point I was just like, okay, it looks like we're gonna lose a game, win a game. Tonight's just not the night I'm going to bed. Yeah, which happens. Yeah. It happens sometimes.
Yeah, I mean that was me very much in D2 for the longest time. I just was win loss, and it felt bad. Yeah, but I mean, so I'm sure you'll kind of get out there, you'll kind of climb, no doubt about it. But my week, I actually did get back into Masters for the season this week. For people that didn't follow the show, I pretty much did the whole plat climb, primarily with Bannerman and Deep. Did a little bit of Karina control to kind of get pushed over the edge into Diamond. Then I rode Bannerman primarily to D2. The worst part was at one point, me and Windmage were co-playing. We get to D1, and then he got busy doing a million other things because Windmage is probably the busiest guy I know in lore. He's involved in so much stuff.
For sure.
And it's one of those things I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start playing. I ran myself all the way back down to D4. And so I pushed myself all the way back out, and I'm finally now into Masters again. I ran burn for the last haul of it, Teemo burn, and it's nice playing burn again. And it's one of those things that it's not as brain dead anymore since the last major patch as the previous version. Like, there's definitely still some thinking to it, and I think that's kind of where people struggles. They play burn and say, "Oh, it was so broken and so brain dead before that I could just slap units down and just keep going face." But it's definitely evolved a little bit. It still feels bad to play against. It still feels bad to play when you just get out healed, but I would definitely recommend that to folks that are trying to climb again. But probably your number one option is going to be, in my opinion, the indoor deck right now. We'll probably put the deck code in the YouTube notes or something like that, but it just has so many win conditions. I mean, you can out aggro certain decks if you get the right draw. You can do atrocity on your They Who Endure. You can just plow damage through. You can drain out the health to finish them off that way. It's a great deck, so definitely recommend it to people that are trying to climb out and plan on going against some of these aggro decks. But yeah, so I mean, it was a pretty productive week to me, and it's nice to now be able to play decks without ladder anxiety, because I know I'm never going to be top 100 like I know you're aiming for, Mavnis. But it's one of those things. It's like, oh, if I want to play a plunder deck, I'm going to play plunder. If I want to play aggro, I'll play aggro. So that's kind of a nice feeling again.
Never say never.
I mean, I'll get into it, but I will say, being like, so last season, I don't know, if you knew the show or anything like that, but last season, literally, I got into Masters with 24 hours left. We just basically wanted to see if we can get me from Plat 4 to Masters in 2 days, and we did. But I had no time to play Master Ladder, and this is the first time I've actually been on it, and I fully get the frustrations now. Like, there's been games I've gone into, I've won, and I've gone up one rank, and there's been games I've gone into and won and didn't rank up at all. And I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Like, it makes no sense at all. So for all of you Master players that I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like it's bad. I get it. So that's interesting. But anyway, so let's get into the news. It was a patch week this week. It's kind of a minor one in terms of card changes. It's primarily clarity on some cards, some minor bug fixes, things like that. But the biggest probably piece of news is for people that are looking to climb or get something done this season. They announced when the end of that season is going to be. So before we get into that and talking about rewards and all that, one big thing to note too is if you're looking for when patches and notes and all that kind of stuff are going on, beginning patch 1.4 in 2 weeks, Legends of Runeterra is going to update when they post patch notes. It's going to actually be, I think, a day later than what it was now. So, if you're keeping an eye out for it, just be aware. The other thing, so Season of Plunder, which is what we're currently in right now, it's going to be ending here very shortly. So it's going to end approximately 9 a.m. Pacific time on June 23rd. They're then going to take down ranked for a day, and then they're going to distribute all the rewards, and we're going to roll into the Season of Fortune at 10 a.m. on June 24th. So again, if you're looking to climb, you got 2 weeks, if I'm counting it right, about maybe a little less to actually get that done. So definitely people get on it.
Or a little less than 2 weeks from what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, a little less than 2 weeks. So, I mean, get on it, find something that works, and just kind of keep grinding away. Because I actually kind of like the icons that they're giving away as rewards. And in my personal opinion, the platinum one is probably the best looking. I like that silver and kind of green background.
I think it looks nice. I'm going to probably just get the diamond one because I don't even know if I'm going to push that hard for Masters right now. Because, yeah, I need to co-play, and everyone that I co-play with is kind of busy right now. So I don't know if I'm going to focus on it too much. Plus, the second they announce Valorant ranked, you might not see me for a little while. I'll play LOR on my phone.
Oh, no. You traitor.
I still like card games, but I love shooters too. I grew up playing shooters, so I'm gonna always play Valorant, and this is gonna be my number one card game. So I've literally tried too many other card games to leave this game. This game is awesome. Still my favorite card game. Even if there is some things that I might dislike about it, and certain cards in the game that I dislike about it. The laddering system, I'm really glad that they're talking about in the patch notes. I know Smithle's probably literally about to mention it, but
Yep.
they're going to be changing a little bit in the Masters LP and
Yep.
changing that in the future. So that's going to be, hopefully, it's going to be big enough that it makes Master players feel like the other Riot games. Because in my opinion, when you play League of Legends or even Valorant, when you get ranked where you are and you climb
Yep.
out of it, I feel like it's a huge accomplishment. And like right now, a lot of people, I feel like they say like you got into Masters like keg W. Like basically, it's like not really that relevant. It's like okay, you hit like your threshold where you want to hit, but it doesn't. There's so many players in Masters that it's not. It's not like crazy. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to say too because, like I said, I mean, I'm only coming from this in Hearthstone, but it feels a little bit more feasible to get into Masters in this game, at least right now. And maybe it's just because I've been in it since the ground floor here running. Uh, but yeah, it's not completely unattainable, and I love it whenever we hear people like in our community sit there and say, "Hey, look, it's my first card game," or it's something like that, and I'm already platinum, I'm already diamond, and people really grinding out for that. So I think that's kind of great at how welcoming it is, and how I don't want to say, well, I guess we can say it's easy to pick up but hard to master in a way, in that you can build a deck probably pretty easily. Uh, Being a free to play player in a relatively short amount of time. Uh, so I love that. I love that about the game, and I love seeing and hearing people get excited within our community about kind of hitting these milestones that maybe they weren't able to hit in other card games.
It's actually funny that you say that. I don't think I've ever seen a card game that has as many players that have probably never really touched a card game like
Mm-hmm.
Legends of Runeterra. And I think it's a testament to how big the IP is, and what Riot has done to foster their community to get people excited to come over. I've met a
Yeah.
lot of League of Legends players. I mean, a lot.
Oh yeah.
Um, only now am I starting to see Magic players come over, especially with all the drama and PR issues that are going on with the other company. We'll just
Oh
leave it
yeah.
at that. But that being said, almost everybody that I've been meeting so far, a lot of them, this is their first card game.
Yeah.
It's been pretty awesome, impressive, refreshing, to be honest, because it shows in the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and plus, I think Riot's done a good job since they kind of announced that they were spreading out from just doing League of Legends into things like Valorant and is it Wild Rift? Is that the mobile version of League that's coming? Is that the name? I think that's it. And like,
Wild Rift, I think it is called Wild Rift.
yeah, yeah, Wild Rift. So like, whenever they announced all this kind of stuff that they're doing, I mean, the the draw that it's bringing from people that just love the lore and love the characters is amazing. Like there's so many people say, "Hey, look, I play League and I'm doing this," or there's a lot of people that Kozer and I play Valorant with that didn't play Legends of Runeterra, but just because it's a Riot game, they say, "Hey, look, we're going to give it a shot," and they've fallen in love with it too. So I think it says a lot about Riot as a company for their ability to create games and create things that people get excited about and want to kind of commit and put time into. Uh, so I love that. I think the community is great. I think it's a good time to be a part of it, as opposed to coming in maybe 2 or 3 years from now if it's still up and running. Uh,
Which is
and maybe being done.
something that was actually asked in the chat that I do want to talk about, and also I
Sure.
noticed that Yang posted in his Discord, so we're getting an influx of a bunch of Brazilian players. Welcome, guys! Thank you for joining us. Actually, one of the Brazilian players asked, "Do you think an icon is enough reward for a season?" I mean, I don't feel like climbing right now for just an icon. It feels like not enough.
I mean,
Do you guys agree with that? Like, what are you
so,
guys'
so,
stance
so
on that?
Madness, what are your thoughts on this?
So I'm a hyper competitive player, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not always the right person to ask, to be completely honest with you. I don't even like ladder, to be honest, right? I find it to be such a chore. I enjoy just playing tournaments and play testing and things like that. But that being said, um, I can totally understand where I believe his name's Harko had asked that, and how he feels like it's just an icon just to climb up for. But I think that we have to keep in mind that like the game is brand new, right? The
Mm-hmm.
game just launched in after open beta. We're finally in release now. It's going to take a little while for them to start putting things in place for us to kind of reach for, right? And I
Yep.
think that like the team is going to do a good job. I'm hoping that they're going to do a good job with finding, the right things that the community obviously wants. I think this is just a test subject, right? Just something to kind of wet our beaks a little bit and, just kind of have some sort of pride and feel like, you know, same thing goes for Riot in League of Legends or even in Heroes of the Storm or in the MOBAs, right? Where I know plenty of people who love doing certain things to get that certain icon, right? I think it really depends on the kind of player you are. A lot of casual players are going to love having that icon. But I think it's worth noting or keeping in mind that I think this is just the beginning of the iceberg, right? The tip of it.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of ladder play and things like that will start feeding into more important things, whether that be qualifications for something, whether that be, a lot of different things, right? One thing I will say, Andrew Yip got his start, doing a lot of things with Upper Deck and getting out there and being known, right? A lot of these players. Brian Kibler won the first Pro Tour, came in first at Versus System, and actually one of my teammates who's on IQ, his name's Craig Edwards, he came in second in that competition. That totally changed Brian Kibler's life. Right? He went on to go work for Upper Deck and start designing games. And I think that you're going to start seeing Riot probably pull from things like that and etc. And I know it may seem like it's a lot to you're grinding for what, but I think that they're going to look at what's done well inherently in Hearthstone, what's done well in Magic, and what hasn't done well. I just think that they're trying to collect and gather information.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a similar boat. Is that if you're playing this game solely for ranked ladder rewards, I mean, an icon's going to be a little disappointing. But the way I view it is this: is all season long, they're giving you pretty generous rewards in terms of your collection and all that kind of good stuff. Plus, last week we talked about and they announced that there's going to be events, there's going to be new game modes with exclusive rewards. And all this kind of stuff that's kind of coming. And I think you're 100% right, Mavnis, when you sit there and said, hey, look, this is the beginning. This is like the absolute infancy of this game in terms of everything else that's out there on the market right now. And that I think that this is fine for now. I have faith that Riot's going to continue to give us ways to personalize and give us cosmetics or icons or something to work for in the various different game modes that are going to really help you as a player display what your strengths are and what you find most interesting in the game. So I'm okay with it for now. But again, it's because I feel like I'm getting so much every week just in the vaults and all that kind of good stuff that I don't feel like it's right for me to complain that I've put in that much effort and I didn't get a card back, or I didn't get a card back and a board and this and this and this. It's okay for me for what is essentially the first season if you don't include the beta.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
Yeah.
Poser, how do you kind of feel about it?
Yeah, like I'm with that on everything. Like I know there's going to be a lot more that comes to this game. Obviously, like it's just the beginning. Like we were literally in beta like less than 2 months ago, and the game's just been released. So I have a lot of hope in this game. Like look at where TFT is now and stuff. It's going to be great, especially when there's more of a competitive scene. I feel like it's going to bring more eyes to the game. I do feel like, as for commercial wise, like I don't know if there's enough advertisement going for this. Like I don't like on Twitter I see all about Valorant. I see all about like other Riot things. I see even a little bit about TFT, but honestly I didn't get that many commercials or anything on like YouTube for LOR, and I kind of hope that changes in the future, but I can only imagine their advertising team is probably working on something like that. But I think the icons are good, but yeah, it would be nice if, like, I know in other games, and I've played other mobile games, depending on where your rank is, you'll get, like, let's say a bunch of shards or something, or, like, coins or something like that. I know that this is technically a Riot game. It was made for PC, and then they're also adding it to mobile, so I don't know if they're going to go down that route, but yeah, an icon's cool. Like, I mean, like, let's be real. All these icons are crap compared to the Iron one. Like, the Iron one looks dope. Like, that one is just very raw, very sick looking. I love it. I think I'm gonna have to make a new account just to have the iron one, but other than that,
What are you talking about? The Poro
The
account will have
Iron
it. The Poro account has it.
oh yeah, that's true. No, actually, it doesn't. I've played the Poro account. It's
Uh,
probably sitting. I think the last time I played it was in silver. Because sometimes when I'm tilted on my main, I'll go and play on that because I really don't care what rank I am, so I can
yeah.
just kind of relax and just. I mean, it looks like I'm getting the plat one this season, anyways, unless I can climb my way into diamond or masters at some point.
Yeah, and it's funny because chat brings up a good thing too. Of they sit there and say that people may complain about the icon right now, but think about it: a year or 2 years from now, if you show that you had beta master or season one master icon, that's a bragging right of saying, "Hey, look, I've been top of the game since day one." It's going to get rarer and rarer and rarer as the community grows, and so it's going to be kind of something cool to have in your collection. Or something that you can look back on and say, "Oh my God, yes, I remember what a nightmare Burn was this season, or I remember what a nightmare uh, Karma Ezreal was in beta, or something like that." That it'll be kind of a cool memory. Jam says she likes Diamond the best. I'm still Plat. I think Plat is by far the number one design.
I find
Uh,
the master one like literally the most underwhelming one, in my opinion. Like I don't know if it's because like they need like crazy stuff coming out of it or like huge cannons or I don't know. I just feel like it needs to be a little bit more
Fire,
like
fire coming out of it.
I just feel like it needs just a little bit more because like I feel like it's separated a little bit, but like come on, man, you got masters. It's supposed to be a huge deal, right? But anyways, we've been talking about this for a while. Let's move
maybe
on
they're
to the next
saving
part.
the cannons for Season of Fortune. But yeah, so essentially, not to get too off topic here, but yeah, so basically, if you want to earn those icons and you want one that really catches your eye and you're not there, you have a little bit of time to do so. When it does reset, similar to last time, master accounts are going to drop 8 divisions, which is 800 LP. So everybody will be back in plat. Diamond and silver, you're going down 7 divisions, about. Gold and silver back 6, and then if you're bronze or iron, you're going to go back to iron 4. So it's going to be almost exactly like how it was in the beta. But if you weren't in the beta, obviously this will be new to you. Another big thing that is coming up too that was in the patch notes is starting with patch 1.5, which is about a month from now. They're going to be updating the vault unlock timing to put it more safely after patch timing. So the vault unlock will move back from Tuesday to Thursday at 8 a.m. And the first week that they do that, they'll have an extended 9-day vault. So you actually have a little bit more time to earn rewards on that one.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I liked
Yeah.
it on Tuesday. I woke up every morning. I got on my phone, saw that there was a vault to open, logged in, open it, get a big smile on my face, and then go to my day of work. And now it's gone.
See,
It's gonna be on Thursday now. It's not the same, man.
I,
Nostalgia's worn off.
I'm gonna like it for selfish reasons because if it's Thursday at 8 a.m. when we record the show, we'll be able to talk about what we got in our vault, especially for when new cards get released. So it'll be exciting for the show.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome for content for you guys. But I'm actually with Gozer on this one. After a long weekend of tournaments, you know what I mean, and then like you don't quite make it there, you're feeling kind of bad about yourself, right? So the next day you take that little tiny break, you know what I mean? You're just like,
Yeah,
I need to have my mental reset, and then Tuesday comes along, and it's just full. It's like Christmas all over again.
Then
yeah.
bam.
And I think that's what I love about this game, to be honest with you. It's the most free to play game I've
Oh
ever
yeah.
played in my life.
Most
Have you read the
definitely.
reviews? Apparently, it's not though.
Uh,
Like,
Oh,
it's the
God.
funniest thing to read the Google reviews. Everyone says it's pay to win. It's because you can buy the cards, but like honestly, it's healthy. Like you can we have a buddy that we play Valorant with, and like he actually comes from Magic. He's like, dude, people spend like anywhere between like $300-$400 on a deck to like 5K. Like it depends on like what you want in it and if it's a real life deck or just like in game or whatever. But like he was talking about like the real cards obviously, and he's like some of these cards are like so expensive to buy, like it's almost unattainable. And LOR just has a system where you can buy exactly what cards you get. Like it's not open it up 50 booster packs in Pokemon and hoping to God you're going to get a really good card from the new series. Like, it takes that away from it. Like, I understand some people like that because it's like the surprise of opening it up and like not knowing what you're going to get, but that's what your weekly vault's for. That does the same idea. There you go. You get free stuff just by playing the game. I feel like this game just gives away so much stuff. The first week that you play this game, if you can get over that hump, you can have 2 to 3 meta decks after like 2 to 3 weeks easily, and then just keep building towards it.
Hey, you can build a competitive deck a week in this game. You know, you may not have every card if you're just trying to net deck, but you'll have enough that you can make pretty educated and informed decisions about what to replace it with. You know, and that'll at least get you through iron to gold. No problem. No problem. Let's talk a little bit more patch notes. And again, it's been kind of a slow week for patch notes. This isn't a big one. They added a whole bunch of card clarity. I'm not going to read out every card, but one of the big things is they do say anywhere it says random, it's now going to say random from any region. I guess some people were thinking that meant random from your deck's regions.
That's what it used to mean. No, that's what it used to be. It used to only mean that the decks that you were playing, and sometimes I think your opponent's deck that they were playing, it could only pull from those regions. It really just depended. But now with this random thing, like, this is really super random now.
Yeah. So then they list out all the cards that obviously it applies to. It's a long list. Again, similar to every other patch, there's multiple expedition changes. That's always way too much to go into, and we're typically not focused on expeditions here, but if you are, go check out the patch notes. You can kind of see what's going on there. And then, as always, there are some minor bug fixes. You know, go check out the patch notes. There's nothing that seemed like it was super standing out, like there was a broken card that they really fixed, or a bug that you would see all the time.
The randomness did affect Karma. I think that's the only one to really talk about. Karma and Karma's Insight of Ages. I don't know how that's really going to affect her that much, but, like, the randomness, like, really makes it so if you put her on board, she can pull any card from any region. And as the game goes on more and more, and there's more regions into the game, like right now we have 7. Pretty soon we should have 8. So, yeah. I don't know. Random to me, like, I liked it when it was, like, kind of the regions. I don't know what this is going to do, but we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Any comments from you, Mavnis, on kind of what your thoughts are with the patch, or are you kind of underwhelmed like we are? Just because it was
underwhelming. We had that really big patch a few weeks ago, so ever since then, it seems like everything's underwhelming, to be honest with you.
Awesome. So in that case, let's talk a little bit about the deck that you guys brought with us this week. I don't know if Cozy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's up on screen now.
Awesome.
It is up on screen. There we go. Okay, so
do you want me
the deck that if you want, Cozy, go for it.
No, do you just want me to run through basically what I don't know if you remember what I typed to you the other day. It's basically we want to know best mulligans, whether it's ladder deck, meme deck, tournament deck, what it's good against, what it's weak against, overall how it works, like how it runs, what are the main cards in the deck, what are your win cons, and basically just run through that stuff.
Sure. So first and foremost, it is not a ladder deck. This deck was the Hecarim Vlad deck. It was made by the Black Boss, who happens to be one of the top Brazilian players right now. He brought this deck, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and it seemed like people thought it was kind of a meme deck. They didn't really think that there was a ton of synergy there. Between Vlad and Hecarim, which there happens to be a ton of, right? It's more people to just pull from, and this deck happens to be very, very good or very strong right now in the current meta for tournaments. Because that being said, it has pretty much a good matchup versus everything except for aggro and a Will of Ionia deck, let's say. Right? So anything that's not Ionia or aggro, it does really well against deep, does really well against a lot of those mid-range and control decks.
Let me jump in real quick and ask you a question, and hopefully maybe you can clarify for listeners and such. Is when you say this isn't a ladder deck, but it's good in tournament meta, what are you looking for when you're trying to determine what is or isn't a ladder deck?
Well, so whenever you're trying to figure out what's good on ladder and what's it has to be good versus the meta on ladder, right? On ladder, it's single deck format. So right now, let's just say if you run into Vimer, which is pretty popular, if you run into Burn, which is still pretty popular too, or anything aggro like that, because a lot of people like to play accelerated decks on the ladder. This deck tends to be weaker against, right? But against the more mid-range control decks like Deep, Ash and Juani, things like that, and even the Ash Noxus deck, the Juani MF and the Ash Noxus deck, that's about an even matchup, let's say. So any of those mid-range to control deck, any of the Shadow Isles decks, things like that you're seeing people bring to tournaments, more so than you're seeing on ladder, it does extremely well against those decks. But anything that does any sort of acceleration, which if you play on ladder pretty often on any game, right? Whether it's Hearthstone, this or Magic, doesn't really matter. People tend to flock to the more aggressive decks because they're pumping out more games much faster. So you can have a lower win rate and still get to where you want to go a lot faster than having a higher win rate. Let's just say with something like Deep, right? That's just gonna, you're probably gonna go to turn 9, pretty often, turn 8 or 9, let's say. So, that being said, that's the reason why this wouldn't be as good on ladder per se. But it's really good against all the decks that are currently showing up in the DOR tournaments, etc. It's especially good in what we call now the Brazilian format, which is it's card lock, not region lock. So it makes it a little bit different and a lot more interesting.
Awesome. Thanks. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I know some people would have questions about that. Is what makes a good ladder versus tournament deck?
Have you guys had a chance to check this deck out yet? No?
I'm looking over it now. I know I looked over it when you sent me it, but yeah, it's an interesting deck. So like, how does it run? How does it play?
Well, basically, it's a pretty aggressive deck, but it's more mid-rangey, right? It's not you don't have any one drops in the deck, so it's not looking to get off to that super fast start. So it's got multiple win conditions. Ekarim himself is an animal, so is Vladimir. And then there's a ton of synergy with all of the ping effects, whether it's transfusion, whether it's demolitionist, things like that, and the disciple, the curator, obviously all the noxious cards, but even curse keeper and things like that. Where if you curse keeper on 2, demolitionist on 3, now you have 6 2-drops that demolitionist really interacts with very well. Other than like burn, let's say, especially with all the nerfs, there's a lot of X-Homes, right? So the only thing that demolitionist really has any synergy with is disciple and sort of boom crew rookie, right? And in this deck, every time you ping something, it's pretty much for more than just damage, which happens to be really good in this deck. With Crimson Curator, it constantly helps you refill your hand, constantly makes you have more threats, etc. And just like in any spooky deck that we've seen, and from the beginning of time, Rekindler is an awesome follow up to the 5 and 6 drop of Heroes, where you think that you just stopped the onslaught, and then Rekindler comes out and just says no, you didn't.
Yep.
Same thing goes for Harrowing, which is just pretty much a game ender.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a dangerous deck to be playing against for sure. So, I mean, whenever you're playing this on the tournament scene, and I understand that it's kind of matchup specific, but in general, what are you typically trying to look for in your opening hand?
Well, in all honesty, I haven't gotten to play this deck enough in tournaments. I've just watched it more than played it because Black Boss played this deck 3 weeks in a row, which is why I wanted to showcase it here. Even though it's not a deck that I play, I think it's just very unique and probably kind of like when Ash first came out, when Winding God brought out Ash. What was the deck? Ash. Why am I forgetting this right now?
Where
basically it was just it's when he won 3 back to back to back. The last 2 he brought the Ash deck, and it was just so it was, as everybody knows, Ash and Freljord is kind of rough on the ladder. Maybe not right now with some of the other additions, but for a long time it was. And his deck was specifically designed to beat Bannerman and beat a lot of those decks, which this does.
Mm-hmm.
This beats Bannerman. This beats a lot of those things. So that being said, from my understanding, you definitely want to have all your early drops. You want to try to have Disciple, Curse Keeper, anything like that in your opening hand. You want to try to curve out. This deck definitely does curve. I would say your opening hand, you definitely want to try to find Curse Keeper, Crimson Disciple, and anything to try to get that online.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to put you far ahead. And as you can see here, even with all the spells, even though it's an aggressive deck, it kind of plays like a control mid-range deck. Between Fervor, Culling Strike, Vengeance, you if you see here, he doesn't max out on a lot of these cards. He's maxing out on Glimpse Beyond and Transfusion for obvious reasons to give him the most value and refill his hand. Transfusion works great in this deck with all the ping effects. But then when you start going down, everything else is a 2-up. Because those seem to be more for controlling the board, controlling the game for you to get to the end.
Yeah, and I was about to say that is the whole, number of 2-ofs is typically something that you don't see a lot on ladder compared to maybe tournaments. Is on ladder, you're typically looking just to get to your win condition as quickly as possible, so you want to maximize your chances to grab that. But in tournament decks, from what I've seen, is it seems like people aren't as afraid to put a couple more 2-ofs there just so they can broaden their options for whatever they're going up against to make sure that they have a play ready for it. Because there'd be some people that sit there and say, well, why would you run 2 Ruinations as opposed to 3 Vengeance? You know what I mean? But it definitely, I think this deck has the tools to kind of handle any sort of situation that you may come up against in a more slow tournament kind of style meta. So it's definitely something to be aware of and something that you would like. And I love the idea. And again, this is the first time that I've seen this deck as this show, because typically I'm looking more at the ladder decks. But I love the number of plays that you said and that you highlighted out earlier too, between Imperial Demolitionist and all of the other cards that you're playing into. Just being able to drop on 2 Curse Keeper 3, or drop Curse Keeper on 2, and then on turn 3 Demolitionist that, or Disciple. I think it gives you a lot of really, really solid plays, especially if you're kind of going into a defense turn on 3 and you have Curse Keeper up. A lot of times people say, okay, I'm going to build out my board because I know you can't block. And it just gives you real nice options. So it's a really cool deck. I like this a lot.
Yeah, to be honest, I remember when the Casanova casted it for the first time, and everyone was laughing at first, to be honest, right? Like, and not laughing in like some mean or whatever way. Just like, what is this? Like, what? Like this? Because I think by the time they showcased it, he was 7-0 with it. So it was just like 7-0 with a Vlad Hecarim deck. What, like, that's not something that we see every day.
Yeah.
And then the next week again, and then the week after, right, in the Brazilian tournament. And and this comes from the creator of the deck himself, the Black Boss. He says it's basically a mid-range deck built to be good against most mid-range and control decks that are popular in tournaments. It's good against deep, mid-range Bannerman, Seju Plunder, Karina, and any other SI control decks. It's almost even against Ash Nox, which is the deck I guess I was trying to refer to with Winding God. He thinks that Ash Nox is slightly favored there. And he feels that it's bad against most Ionian aggro decks. That being said, usually in a tournament, you're banning the Ionian deck because the Will of Ionia just warped the meta around it.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, but I think what really makes this deck go, and I think, to be honest, what a lot of people haven't given enough credit to or realize is, I think Demolitionist has really changed the format a lot. Or not even changed the format, it's one of like the new cards that have come out, especially for just being a 2-drop. That has really been super impactful since its release.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I mean, I think it would be hard to argue a card that you... I'm trying to think, is there a card that's more impactful, I would say, that has recently been released more so than Imperial Demolitionist?
Oh, wait. Like...
Yeah,
Burn came from it. This came from it. It's in the other new Burn Elusives deck. I mean,
yeah, I'd say it's not a champ, but yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's definitely for a common and a 2-drop. Um it's definitely a really really strong card.
Yeah, and kind of what I like too is, and I think this kind of speaks to the shift in the meta recently is, y- at least I never saw, or I rarely saw Vladimir decks even being considered. And just it's such a nice change of pace now that we're at a state in the meta where, in my opinion, this is probably the healthiest the game has been in a long time. Sure, there's cards that are still problematic, and sure, there's things that need to be worked out. But on ladder and in tournaments and things like that, I'm seeing enough diversity in decks that people are playing that are good. It's not just the same one or two decks. It seems to still be changing every week. It's still growing and evolving, and I love that. I'm very much a fan of where we're at in the meta currently.
Yeah, and I think that's what Riot's been trying to shoot for the whole time. I know I know they say they want every card to have a place, or
Yeah.
they want every deck to be good. That's almost impossible, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the dream for any game designer, but that's really hard. But that being said, I think they've done a great job trying to make that as true as possible. I think it was a little harder in the beta because obviously we didn't have all the cards that we have now. With Bridgewater being added, but now with that, I've definitely seen a lot of diversity, and almost every week, I'm seeing something new be brought to a tournament.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's an exciting deck. I definitely recommend people give it a try, even if it's not a ladder deck. Maybe just bring it into normals and play it. Say you're familiar with, as you're watching ladder, kind of what you would expect to see, or maybe learn around it. But Kozer, any other questions? Anything you want to know about the deck?
Not so much about the deck. I just wanted to add on that, and then we can move on to tournament talk, because this is actually where this deck was seen in just recently with BR Fest. So basically, this is why I'm excited for competitive, because of this. This is not ladder. When you play competitive, there's different decks that you can bring. There's different stuff. This transfers into all other games. Solo queue compared to playing as a team in organized play, especially in MOBAs, is completely different. Characters that aren't strong in solo queue can be very strong in a team base. And in the card games, like Vladimir Heck might not be great on ladder, but yeah, if you know how to pilot this, it might throw people off in a tournament too. And that's what's the stuff. If you bring this into a tournament, people are like, wait, I haven't played against this on the ladder. What the heck is this? What am I playing against? And this will really change up the game. And so I'm excited for more tournaments, more cards to be added, because I really think it's going to shuffle this stuff up and not just have just ladder decks that are ran in tournaments. Because when the game first came out, I kind of found that that's what it was like. It was just, you were seeing elusive burn, or not elusive burn, actual elusives, and the tournament decks were basically Ezreal. Oh geez, it's been so long. What was the original Ezreal deck?
Ezreal Troop of Elnuts, baby. Troop of Elnuts.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just Ezreal solo, right? There was no other champ in it. I can't remember. What was the other? champ?
I ran very close to what Prismaticus probably ran.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was running, but one Entreat and 3 Ezreals to have 4 Ezreals pretty much.
Yep.
And the rest was just anything that can target Harshlings and the 3-1 that also pings for 1, because obviously back then the meta was a little different. It actually took out a lot of different things and static shots, but the only champ in it was Ezreal.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I mean. Is when the old tournament scene, when the game first came out, because there wasn't as many regions, there wasn't as much stuff. The cards they added how much was it? 160 cards, 120 cards before the game got released. Full. I can't remember exactly how much it was.
I think it was 170ish. Yeah.
Yeah, that just changes that meta completely. It's gonna be huge, and this is also going to bring the excitement back to the game too. I know that Hearthstone does the exact same thing. When they release a new expansion, it brings a lot of hype back to the game, and a lot of people that haven't played in a little while might go check out the expansion. I mean, with them, it's also, like I said, some people really like the booster packs and opening those up, and Yeah, sure. But I think this game is going to be really good with the way that they said they were going to be releasing regions. I'm really excited for that because it's like, I think it's basically a region every, 2 months? Was it every 2 months?
So yeah, every 6 months is a region. Every two
Oh, okay,
months
that's what it
is
was.
cards.
Yes, but that's huge. That's still huge.
Yeah.
That's still like new stuff that that changes up the meta. So that's
Yep.
gonna be awesome. But
Yeah, but the only thing I'm kind of interested about, and not to kind of backtrack again, is if they're ending the season end of June, and we know the next region's announced in August. I'm assuming season 3. That means it's going to start probably end of August, right? And that probably is going to be right when the new cards get released.
do you think they're gonna wait that long to?
My guess would be.
They're gonna wait a month and a
Yeah.
half to open back up the ladder. You think so?
No, not to
I'm
open back.
confused.
No.
He's saying
Sorry.
season
Oh,
3.
okay.
Yeah,
Season
season 3.
three.
Oh,
Season
okay,
3 would
okay.
end.
I
Yeah.
didn't clue
Sorry,
in
I
the season
misstated
3
that.
part.
I
No.
misstated
It's all good. That's my fault.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, season 3. Yeah, no. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. That would make sense. 100%. I
Yeah,
have a feeling
yeah.
seasons aren't going to be very long, and they're
No,
going
they're
to
2
keep.
months. 2
I think
months.
they're going to keep doing this implement of short seasons and resetting the ladder. It makes it a little bit more competitive at that point because then you're every two months you're basically resetting and then you have to push to get into masters again, so that already adds it as it's going to be a little bit more elitist to hit masters because you don't have as much time, because let's be real, in closed beta we had from, what was it, when did closed beta start? Was it February, March?
Yeah,
Can't remember.
but you think, yeah, so it'll be very similar to what it was now, because I don't remember the exact date that these cards came out, but it was like end of April, right? Am I right? I'll have to go back and look
Yeah,
at
I
the
believe it
timeline.
was end of April because I remember it was right. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
right before my
so
birthday.
April 28th
yeah,
sounds like a date that I
yeah,
remember because I think
yeah.
that's
So I
when
mean,
full game release happened. I think it was April 28th.
yeah. So if this season ends end of June, that's been 2 months. So I mean, this will be a good indicator of what it's going to feel like going forward.
Yeah,
Is
which is cool, but like that's what I mean. Is in closed beta, we had
oh yeah, you
over
have tons of time.
3K master players in NA, I think, and like EU was like the same amount. So it's like I hope that that's not gonna be kind of the norm. So
Yeah,
like having it a little bit smaller seasons makes it a little bit more competitive because there's less time to get into masters. So I feel like maybe the master ladder will be a little bit more competitive, but it really depends on what changes they're going to talk about in 2 weeks from now, because that's what I'm really
yeah,
excited for, to see if the master leaderboards are going to be shifted completely.
yeah. See how they change all that.
Camping the
That'll be interesting.
leaderboard is super fun and people love that stuff.
I hear you. I hear you. But anyway, so tournaments, Koza, what's going on there?
Well, let's go. Well, let's talk about the Brazilian Fest. This just happened last weekend. I believe it was Saturday was Swiss, and then Sunday was Top Cut, top 16. Yeah, it was top 16. Yes, top 16. Um, Seth was able to get first place. I don't exactly remember the decks he was running, but I'm pretty sure they were pretty meta. I think there was a Bannerman somewhere in there, if I remember correctly. Um, he was able to beat Black Boss. Black Boss did get a win, and that was the deck that we were just talking about, the Hecarim Vlad deck. So this is it was a really well ran event. They did it a little differently. There was no it was 3 decks, 1 ban. So same idea with that. Best of 3, needing to get 2 wins with your decks. Can be the same deck that you win with. You have to win with both of your decks that aren't banned out. And what was the other thing? Oh, no region overlap. No, or there wasn't no region overlap. That's what I was trying to say. There was no card overlap. You couldn't run the same cards. So you could run some of the same regions, but there was no card overlap. So you could only run 3 of 1 card, or 3 of 1 card. That's the right way to say it. So it was really good event. I heard a lot of good things. I really hope the squad runs a little bit more of them. I know Yang from the Masters Discord was running this with, I think he wrote actually in the chat, I think it was Sim, Kagemaru, Dale, and I know there was something. I thought it was Mr. Harry was involved too. Um, but and actually, Kage wrote in here. I wanted to Demacia Ionia deck with Elusives and Lucian and Zed. That's really cool. Lucian and Zed is I really like that deck. I used to run that all the time on ladder. It's kind of like an aggro Demacia deck. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that Demacia Ionia deck was I played against it. That deck is very fast. Imagine elusives mixed up with, all the other best aggro creatures you possibly can that are not elusive, right? Like Lucian, Sienna, Zed. But other than that, you have a lot of elusives in the deck, and um, the deck is very fast. I mean, I could not keep up against it when I was playing deep. It was just way too fast. It got a turn 4, turn 5 kill on me.
Yeah, it's But I was talking with Yang actually this week, and they're not sure if they're gonna host more, but I really do think that they should, because it was a fun event, and I really think a lot of the Brazilian players are honestly some of the best in NA right now. I mean, Cefa was in this too. He's just North American, but I'm excited to see more, and I'm excited to see more of the Brazilian players in the DOR tournaments, because they do so well. And in Jam Fest they compete so well. I'm glad you guys actually on Team IQ picked up some of the Brazilian players, because they're really strong, and I know their scrim scene. Anytime I go into Yang's Brazilian Discord, there's literally a team of like 12 of them in voice comms. I just went to look for tournament info the other day, and then I realized Yang deleted some of it, and honestly, there was, I think, 10 guys just sitting in voice comms, and Sudrakhan was one of them, and I know a couple of the other players are competitive players in tournaments and stuff, and I don't know what they were doing. I didn't join, but I'm only assuming, talking about the cards, thinking of new decks, scrimming, going over VOD, something. They're really pumping up the experience in the tournament scene, and I'm excited to see them in more tournaments, especially when there's bigger tournaments and more money involved, because I know some of these tournaments can some of the prize pools really do change lives in some of these countries compared to North America and stuff. Winning $100 US in places like Brazil, it can be a lot of money. So I can see why these players take these tournaments very, very seriously and are really trying to win.
Yeah, for sure. I've spoken to them, just so you know. Yang and Mr. Harry actually are also part of IQ. Yang is part of the team. Mr. Harry is going to be working with us in tournaments and things like that as well. So we're definitely going to have some things in the mix for Brazil as well, but we're trying to do it for the whole region as a whole. Instead of it being NA from now on, we want it to be more known as the Americas, because it's not just North America. And as you
True.
said, the Brazilians are very, very much heavily invested in the game. Like you said, $100 in Brazil goes a really, really long way.
It's almost
So they
500,
definitely take it seriously.
600 Rios, like Brazilian Rios. I think that's how you say
Yeah,
it. Because it says Rios, but I know it's not pronounced like that. It's like Rios or something like that. But that's crazy. Like, that's like 500, 600. I think I was talking to them, like that can pay almost like half your rent. Like, that's like, can pay your phone bill, can pay like a couple of other things. Like, that's a lot of money. That's huge. So winning these tournaments, anytime I see a Brazilian player that wins like these DORs or Jam Fests or any other of these future tournaments, I'm always super happy for them, because that's really helping them. It really is.
the awesome part about this tournament was, as you see here, it was semifinals NA Brazil, right? A little top forward once again in another tournament, and just couldn't get there, couldn't get over the hump. Top four seems to be his cutoff point right now, so we'll see if he can break that curse soon. But the tournament was stacked, and Brazil actually reminds me a lot of the Japanese when they entered Magic. Uh, they were just different. The meta was different. The way they approached the game was different. their card choices were different, and it showed. And it reminds me a lot of that here. And it's, it's exciting to see. Like I said, the Vlad Hecarim deck. Who would have thought somebody's going to bring Vlad Hecarim to a tournament and 3 weeks straight make it to the finals or win one, right? So.
Yeah, it's I'm really excited to see the Brazilian scene blow up even more, and what new decks and combos they're gonna bring. And like you're talking about Japan, I'm excited to, like, I've kind of found that in this game the Asian region doesn't have as many master players, doesn't seem as involved. I really do hope that they're able to tailor to them and get them playing LOR, because right now it seems like they're mostly focused on Magic or either Hearthstone, and they always bring interesting meta. They always bring interesting decks to tournaments, and I'm really excited to see that scene more involved. I really hope that Riot can figure out a way to get that scene more involved. I think that's why they did a couple of the invitationals in Korea. They did the, what was it, Blade Master? I don't remember what it was called. Just recently, they had the LOR invitational at the starting in closed beta. I'm just hoping they get a lot more involved, because I feel like they're going to be like Brazil. They always bring interesting stuff, interesting combos.
Yeah, I agree. I look forward to seeing them play more. Like I said, it's just the beginning. Hopefully, they start to figure out things that'll really attract the players. I think once you start seeing more organized play happen for this game, people will get involved. I think one of the things that probably scares some people is how long TFT look to start their organized play program. And I think what a lot of people need to realize is that I don't think TFT was ever really created to be in sport. I think it was created to be more casual and for people to have fun, and it just took a mind of its own, right? I think this, though, most people know card games in general, especially a game like this, that doesn't have as much RNG. Obviously, it has some casino stone stuff in it, but for the most part, it's not as RNG heavy. And I think that because of that, this is going to be a little different than TFT. Hopefully we'll see an organized play program for it soon. By the end of the year, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say that I 100% agree with that. Like, I really feel like TFT, the reason why I don't think the competitive scene, it took a while is because of the randomness, like you were talking about. There's obviously RNG in card games too, but like they're more catered towards the competitive scene than really buying units, putting them on the board, and placement matters and stuff like that. I feel like TFT is kind of like watching competitive battle royales. There's still a lot of chance in them and a lot of luck on top of skill, but like I feel like that's why, like you said, that's why TFT took so long to have a competitive scene. I'm hopeful that by the end of 2020 we can have a full-fledged competitive scene, or at least, I mean, right now what also sucks is, what is Riot gonna do? Are they gonna hold LAN events? We're not allowed to gather. Like, COVID's still going on from what I hear. Like, it hasn't went anywhere. So because of that, they got to be watching out with organizing these big events. So I think that's going to hurt a little bit. I think there's going to be more online events, but I still hope that Riot does cater to that and make some bigger events. And I just noticed the first time in the whole episode, Smithly, you changed your living room. Why is your couch on the other side?
I moved my living room around.
Oh, jeez. I was like, where did your cat just come from? It came from the other side of the room this time. So,
yeah, we moved my kids' area.
Okay, perfect. So I guess let's go into the next talk. I'm actually gonna search up something and let Mavnis start talking about it. We're gonna start talking about the Runeterra for Change tournament.
So, you want me to start now, or are you gonna pull something up first?
Oh, start now. I'm just gonna pull up the Smash.gg.
Okay. Well, guys, as some of you obviously know, we live here in NA. And, well, I do at least. I think I believe Closer's in, you're in North America, but you're in Canada. Smith, I don't know where you're currently.
North America. North America.
Okay. So, that being said, there's a lot going on in the world right now, in our country, with police brutality, with, inequality everywhere. The whole Black Lives Matter movement. Our country has been plagued and embedded with war and things like that since the inception, right? And I guess that you can say that about a lot of different things in the world, but we've come a long way, and unfortunately, we still have a lot further to go. And with everything that's going on in the world, that's kind of the reason why Jam Fest didn't happen last week, and that was the reason why VR Fest happened instead. We wanted to put something together that showed not only the community, but and out of respect for the country and everything that's just going on, with so many other more real issues pressing, than rather just throwing a tournament. And what we decided to do was create a charity event, which will be all weekend long. It's going to be called Runeterra for Change, and the whole point of the weekend is it's going to be a fundraising event that which aims to bring exclusivity, diversity to our gaming community. We're very fortunate right now that all of us here are in Runeterra from the ground floor. If anybody follows Magic or anything else like that, they're currently having a lot of PR issues with what's going on in relation to this direct problem, right? With certain cards having to be banned recently because of the insinuation and artist affiliation to neo Nazis and things like that, and just in general, card gaming happens to be primarily of a certain type of demographic. Maybe because Magic was the first one, and that's not what gaming is, right? I've been to so many different esports events, all over the country, all over the world, and I like to call myself a citizen of the world. I don't like to call myself an American. I don't like to call myself a whatever, nationalism, etc. I think that when it comes to gaming, we all have the same goals in mind, which is to have fun, compete, right? And the one thing that we're trying to strive for here is to create an environment and a community that is very inclusive to all, very understanding to all, right? Whether no matter of age, sex, religion, gender, as I just said, sex, doesn't matter what it is, right? We want you to feel included here, and since we're kind of the first team on the scene, obviously there's other esports orgs involved, but esports orgs, generally speaking, aren't really involved in card games like that. We want to try to create this community that's very inclusive, very understanding of each other. So this weekend we're going to be hosting a charity event tomorrow. It's an invitational, 16 players. Um, some of the 16 players that are already confirmed and will be there are Swimstream, Hyped, Hugs from Dignitas, Nola Gold from us, all the Brazilians that we just mentioned. We'll be having some other people from Magic, like Archon TV, which is Dylan Han, myself, etc. And it'll be a 16-person invitational. Fresh Lobster, Presto, all the EU guys as well. And we'll be battling it out for everyone's entertainment, hoping to raise awareness for the current inequalities and the fact that a lot of these communities are in this right now, and also
Circuit will be there
raise
as
money
well.
to help. I'm sorry.
You forgot to mention Circuit. Circuit will be there as well.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I didn't go through the list. I was just naming off as many as I could think of. I couldn't name all 16 people, but that being said, we want to try to raise as much money as we can. The cause that we're going to do is Colin Kaepernick's foundation, which is all about youth rights and things of that. I know that you will have the link or whatever, and you can show it on the stream, or hopefully, after the podcast is over. So that's what we're doing on Friday. We'll have 4 groups. They'll be competing in a round robin, and then advances to a top 8. And then after that, we'll be doing some coaching, things like that for the community. The same thing's going to take place for NA and EU on Saturday and Sunday, as normally would be, which is DOR this weekend. They were amazing, and Liquid decided to let us have the weekend so that we could do this. So instead of DOR or even Jam Fest, we'll be doing the Runeterra for Change. We'll have an NA and EU Open. Mobalytics has given us some premium codes. We have some other people that are still looking to donate as well, some prize support, etc., to the players and people watching. But overall, this is supposed to be a feel-good weekend. It's supposed to be about, I don't want to keep reiterating it, but just letting everybody know that they're welcome, right? Doesn't matter if you're from Brazil, doesn't matter if you're from China, doesn't matter if you're from North America, doesn't matter if you're from Africa, doesn't matter where you're from, right? We want to, as the first people here, we feel that we have a responsibility to make the community the best that it can possibly be. I think a big reason why some of these other communities are not like that and they're so toxic is because no one really cares about it, or nobody really cares about it until it's too late, right? And um, instead of us doing that, we'd rather build it up from the beginning and hope that as it continues to go on, the foundation that we create now and here influences and spreads to everybody else, as they're entering our space. I think a lot more Magic players, I think a lot more Pokemon players, I think a lot more Hearthstone players, Gwent, Artifact is whatever, but I think a lot more of these players are going to keep entering the game. I think as time goes on, and we want to be able to have as much diversity here. It's something that's just not done in card games right now.
It's an awesome cause. I mean, it's something that obviously we 100% support. Anything that we can do, even though we're just a small little podcast here, in a larger pool of players, we're fully behind you guys, fully behind everything that's going on, and are happy to help assist or get the word out in any way possible. Because I mean, like you said, it's kind of a shit time, and we all need to kind of remember that we're kind of on this blue marble here together. It's why spend so much time hating each other, for essentially which is trivial shit. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't do any good for anybody to kind of hate your neighbor. So it's one of those things we need to kind of take care of each other. And
yeah, for sure.
I feel like a lot of times people kind of lose sight of that.
Yeah, for sure. And I really appreciate you guys obviously having me on here and showcasing this. Like you said, we're all each other's neighbors, right? And trying to help each other. And to be honest, this is really personal for me. Try not to talk about it as much because I can get a little emotional. But as a person of color and who's played card games for so long, I remember being in stores and coming in, people just grab their bags just a little bit tighter, or some opponents just getting salty because, I don't fit the mold of somebody who should be beating them. Or I come back and, I'm back on the Pro Tour within a year. Well, they haven't been on the Pro Tour in 23 years. And immediately someone's a cheater or this or that, and so, I've had my fair share of discrimination more in gaming than anywhere else, to be honest with you, right? And so this is real personal to me. And obviously, what happened to George Floyd was horrific. I don't even think at this point it's just about race, right? I think there's a police brutality issue, and whether you're on whatever side you're on, right? I think that there's a lot of just change that needs to be done. And I also see what Prophet's writing in the chat, and I can understand, just so you know, just so you know, it's not anything that we asked for. We don't want cards to be banned. We don't want anything like that. When I say we, I mean other people of color that I've spoken to. We think that was kind of I'm just going to be honest, a shitty PR ploy, right? Some of those cards definitely should have been gone a long time ago, like Invoke Prejudice with the 1488 number attached to it, right? That's just, hey, I don't really know what else to say there. But it isn't what we wanted. And once again, Wizards just kind of dropped the ball there. And like they always do, which is kind of a big reason why I also switched from there to here.
Yeah, some of the card games, like I'm looking at them right now, like I think that some of these cards shouldn't have been in there just from the get-go. I don't know about the card art, like I haven't seen what they look like because I don't play much Magic, but
Invoke Prejudice looks like a bunch of Ku Klux Klans with a big scythe, and
you're fucking kidding me, right? Like you're not being serious
and
right
now? The sick part about it is this: the artist who did that art is associated very heavily with neo-Nazis. He does artwork for neo-Nazis. He has a famous artwork piece done that's called Jesus Hitler. So
that's fucked. Man. I don't like hearing
when
this
you start,
shit right now. To be honest,
yeah,
this is beyond fucked. Like I think the craziest thing that I saw is that they're working on a petition right now to shut down, call the Ku Klux Klan a terrorist group, and the fact that they have to run this as a bill, and that it's not just like, is this, and it has to be voted upon, is crazy to me. I don't want to get political or anything like this on the podcast, but this was something that I saw this week, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. This has been a hate group for years that is still around, and there is a lot of stuff that's going around that's saying a lot of police or just people higher ups that are part of this group, and because they wear hoods you can't see their face and they can be a part of this group. Like, it's just nuts to me. It's really nuts that they have to run a bill to cancel this group and call it a terrorist group. Like, that's just crazy. That's crazy. And the bill better get passed. Like, there's no other way around it. Like, that's just nuts. Everything that's going on right now is just it something needs to be changed, and I'm glad you guys are doing this. So one thing is, I don't know if you brushed over this. I do want to make sure that everyone knows. So the invitational was Friday. Mavnis already talked about that. For the there Smith went. For the
Right on cue.
Right on cue. It's literally an hour and 16 in. So for the NA EU event, Mavnis did say that we want everyone to play, but you do need to have either an NA account or an EU account to play in those, because there's no cross regions yet. For this event, they're completely open. Anyone can join. They're free. There will be no cash prize. I don't know if Mavnis, I can't remember if you mentioned that, Mavnis. There is no cash prize. All of the donations obviously will be going to the fundraiser. Any funds, as far as I understand, there will be a link in all of the invitational streamers, either !donate, or it's going to be somewhere in their stream that where they can donate to, and that's going to be the big pushing point. I know Casanova is going to be casting it with Miles, if I remember correctly. Was it Miles? Okay. Yeah, Miles is going to be casting with Casanova this weekend for, that's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? It's every day. They're doing it together.
So tomorrow's the invitational. The 2 days are going to be the normal open as we would normally have at the DOR or James. The only difference is there's no cash prize, like you said. It's going,
which is understandable. This is for a good event. It's needed. It's necessary. So yeah, the no cash prize pool is completely understandable, because all the money is going to a great cause. So just focus on that this weekend, and how you'll be keeping the fundraiser up for a little while after, or are you guys going to be closing it after the weekend? Just.
I believe I have it set right now to close on Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep. Yeah. So it'll just be a weekend thing. We do have a goal, and we'll see if we get there. But I think the most important thing, to be honest, is just to show the community that it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what gender you identify with or don't identify. It doesn't matter what religion you are, and it doesn't matter what a political affiliation you are, right? Just like you said, you don't really want to get into politics, etc. It doesn't matter what, I have my own beliefs, right? I may not agree with you, I may not whatever, but I'll always accept you. Mm-hmm. I'll always be here to have a conversation with you. I'm never going to treat you poorly just based on, what you may believe in, or, everyone sees the world through a different lens, right? We're all brought up differently, from household to geography. There's so many reasons why, right? And, I think just the most important thing is just to kind of get that message out there, and hope that our community here is much better and sets an example for the other CCGs out there, and even just the other esports out there. I'm really looking forward to when COVID is gone, or there's a vaccine, and DreamHack hopefully picks this up, and we have a DreamHack series like they do for Magic and they do for Hearthstone. Yeah. And I get to meet and see every single one of you guys, at DreamHack Austin, or DreamHack Anaheim, or DreamHack Atlanta, or DreamHack Denver, or any of these North American DreamHacks that have been happening for the last 4 years. I want to be able to meet, have fun, hang out, have a drink, and have dinner with you guys. So, I feel like that's the most important messages that we want to send here.
Agreed. And one of the things too is, obviously, folks, if you are looking for a way to help, or an opportunity to help, and just don't know kind of where you can donate to, or anything that you can do, we do have a list that I believe
I just pulled
Argel
up
put it
on
together.
yeah, it was our jam. It's opportunities to help. This is literally I'll be posting all of these links, all of the information, including the tournament links in the podcast, which is a little different than what I usually do because we're fully supporting this. We want everyone to go and join this event. It's going to be a great event for a great cause. But this list will also be there for the opportunities to help. It's literally just a full list of just everywhere where you can go. It's for the LGBT community. It's for Black Lives Matter movement. Like it's for a little bit of everything. You can go through here. There's tons of places where you can donate. If you click the link, it actually brings you to the agency, and you can read through some of these. And this is how you can help if you're looking to help. If you don't know what to do, this is where you can do your research and start reading up on it. For anyone who's not educated with it, reading up on it is really important.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, like Mavnis said, is, you know, we may not all have the same views, may not all have the same opinions, but this list, you know, has plenty of resources available to you. You know, take the time, look through it, find one that you agree with, and support them. If you support their message, you support their cause, go for it, donate, do what you can. Honestly, just, you know, kind of help make this world a little bit of a better place. I mean, it's very much the saying of, you know, silence is compliance. I mean, you know, now's the time to speak up. I mean, it's very much one of those things that what I love about the community and what I love about kind of what people like Mavnis and RJam and everybody that are doing to draw attention to this is that by doing this now, and it's honestly, it's shit conversations to have. It's hard. You know, I have two little kids, you know, one's 4 years old. What her best friend is a person of color, you know, and it's one of those things that we're going to have that conversation with her about, you know, the struggles that she may face that my daughter won't. And that's tough, but as a parent, as a member of society, these are the conversations that you have to have if you want something to change. And so take the time, do a little bit of research, find something that is meaningful to you in an organization that's meaningful towards you, and back them. You know, do something so that, you know, we don't have to be in these shit situations anymore. You know, it's gone on far too long.
Two things I'd like to say real quick, if I can. One is
Absolutely.
I don't want just the BLM movement or what's going on to overshadow. Also, this is Pride Month, which is another, you know, inequality issue, right? So it ties right into this, and I believe that there's a ton of resources that you can look into on that sheet about
Oh
that as
yeah,
well.
it's all about that. It's literally a little bit of both.
Yeah,
It's like that's why I mentioned it.
yeah,
It's literally some of them are like coincide like with each other. Like I know there's a
yeah.
couple of them that literally coincide. Like I've read through the list and Black Trans future Twitter Black Trans Travel Fund. Like there's tons of information on this guide. And if there's anything that's missing from this, RJM has said please DM her or message her, and she will add it to the list. The organization that's working with this, because she's went through and tried her best to get everything, but there might be one or two local ones that she's missing. That if you guys want added to the list, please message her and she will add it to the list 100%. Because yeah, this is, yes, let's not forget that this is also Pride Month as well, which is another part of uh, until
Diversity.
recently. Yeah, it's another part of diversity, but for a while they were definitely getting shut out and not treated with the respect that they deserved. And these geez, what's the word I'm looking for?
Organizations.
These organizations are great in helping a little bit of both, and let's, like you said, let's not forget it that it's Pride Month, because everyone's got, I've seen a bunch of Twitter accounts that have rainbow and stuff like that. Like it's a little bit of both right now. It's almost like you need a rainbow flag and then half of it being black, because both of those things matter right now. They
And they coincide very well, to be honest, right?
yeah.
Like, you know, if there's any other group out there that may understand on some way, shape, or form what a person of color may go through, you know, it's definitely the LGBT community. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's, you know, that's why I wanted to bring that up. And what you just brought up also, Kozer, as to who wrote all this and did this, is kind of the second thing I wanted to bring up, or what lead into is, for everybody out there who does not know who she is, or for everybody out there who does not know about this community at all, I would love to say right now that Remarkable Jam, our Jam, as we know her, or Jam Fest, or I don't know what you may know of her or her brand, etc. But she is amazing. I mean, I cannot say enough things about our Jam. As you see here, she put all of this together. She has helped me execute any idea that I had for this. All this hard work and effort that you see here is from her, just like Jamfest. It's been from her from the beginning. So, she's been trying to do the best she can and put everything she has into this community with a lot of heart. And I think it shows. And I think, the community needs to know who's been behind a lot of these things. Um, because, I feel like certain people just don't get enough credit, unfortunately. And Jam definitely deserves a ton of credit for how this community has been shaped recently, and just for a lot of the events that we've been having here that we can look forward to on a weekly basis. A lot of that has definitely been either done or helped by Jam, and I kind of wanted to give her a big shout out today for all she's done, all the hard work she's done, and how much she cares about this community.
Awesome.
Just give me 2 seconds. I'm actually the webcam's gonna look a little messed up for a second. Let me see if I can pull it. I'm trying to get a screenshot. It's gonna take me 2 seconds because someone was asking who's playing in the event, and I just wanted to post it up on screen.
Not a problem.
Let me save.
Got some interesting players.
Okay, but apparently 15. Okay, waiting. Apparently
we
you
have
have two people or one people that's not. One that's not. Okay, so you
one that we have to refill up, and that'll be filled up by tonight after this podcast is over.
Okay, let me bring it up on screen. I usually just tweet it to myself. I want to bring it up for people that were asking. So keep talking, guys. It'll take me a couple minutes, especially if my phone's gonna freeze like this. This is nuts.
So maybe let's do this then. Is we'll kind of jump into it. So first, Mavnis, big thank you for coming on, buddy. I know it's great to have you. We wish you guys nothing but the best in everything that you guys are pursuing. Your team, the tournament, the invitational, all that good stuff. We hope that really goes well for you. And again, I know it's very tough sometimes to take a little bit of time to step away. All kind of busy people, but being able to take an hour and a half, 2 hours of your day to come on the show, I know it's something that we very much appreciate. So thank you, and hopefully you're willing to come back again in the future and maybe talk a little bit about cards and everything that's going on here in the community.
For sure. Thank you guys, actually, to be honest, for having me and for doing what you guys do. Right?
Oh, appreciate it, man.
You guys help shape the community too. Don't think anything different. So,
awesome.
Kozer moderating running the Masters Discord and a lot of different things in the community to even, the weekly Poro report and all this content that you guys are trying to produce here. Thank you guys.
Well, thanks, man. We appreciate it. Like I said, if we can bring a little bit of enjoyment to, a small handful of people, then, we're happy. But so if people are looking to follow you and follow what you do and all of that good stuff, what is the best way to do it? How can people get a hold of you?
Probably Twitter, I'd have to say. I'm on every social media platform, but I think when it comes to gaming and esports, Twitter's probably the go-to place for me. And you can find me at Mavnis, the same way you see it here. My name's pretty unique, so nobody has it. That being said, just type in my name, you'll be able to find me. Shoot me a follow. I greatly appreciate it. Next week after the tournament's over, I'll be going to a stream schedule every day.
Awesome.
So I'll be looking to actually stream, and now that the team's up and running and things like that, I'm going to be looking to compete more than managing certain things. So hopefully I'll be able to do that more.
Awesome. That's awesome. Also, we have your Discord link, I believe, for your team. We'll be putting all of your socials, the team's Discord, all that good stuff in the show notes. So if you're listening to this or you're watching this on YouTube, obviously go to the YouTube comments. They will be all around there. And hopefully you guys will be able to check that out and kind of support everything that Mavnis is doing. I know typically now is when I go to Kozer's platforms, but do you have that list ready, Kozer?
I do have the list ready, so I'm gonna pop over to the screen just to show it. Well, apparently, so Yay Tears. I don't remember who that is. Everyone else's name. Who would that be?
Yay Tears is a Hearthstone streamer.
Okay. Okay.
He's Asian. He's an Hearthstone streamer.
Okay. Okay.
We wanted more than just Legends of Runeterra. We also wanted to try to have as much diversity as possible.
Of course.
Awesome.
So that being said, but unfortunately, there's not a tremendous amount of diversity just yet. So we'll get there though. Hopefully, the community will be welcoming to more people, and people will feel like they can actually join. I know somebody recently just wrote get BBG. We did extend an invite to him. Unfortunately, he respectfully declined. I believe he tries not to really get too much into politics. He's more into, or as he calls this, politics. I think he's just more into, focusing on his gameplay and producing content and not really choosing one side or the other, which is, more than fine. We would have loved to have had him. Obviously, he's such a great player, and I think this would have been an amazing tournament to really see who's up there right now in this world of Legends of Runeterra.
Agreed. I mean, it's a powerhouse list, so it'll be definitely awesome to check out. I know, we'll definitely be viewing. But
Tournament starts, by the way, at 1 p.m. I don't know if we mentioned that part about the invitational.
1 p.m. Eastern.
1 p.m. Eastern, the tournament starts. Apparently, there's two to be announced, so maybe you need to talk to Archam because you said there was only one, or either you didn't tell her about one of the players that is missing.
Oh no. Okay, so that's what it was. I'm sorry. There is two now. They will be filled later. Miles is gonna he was gonna play in it.
But yeah, Miles is casting.
He has decided to cast. Yeah. So that being said, he'll be casting with Casanova. So yeah, there'll be those two slots will get filled. I do have some DMs I do have some messages in my DMs right now from people that were asked beforehand, so I'll be able to check that one.
So MTuck just asked, MTuck, the only thing I need to know to be able to answer that is, are you talking about the Invitational, or are you talking about the main event?
Invitational.
Oh, Invitational. So the Invitational, Jam, I don't remember. Is it 4 groups of 4? How are you guys doing that again? I don't remember how you guys are doing the Invitational. Mav, do you know how you guys do it?
Yeah, it's 4 groups of 4 into top 8.
4 groups of 4 into top 8. Okay, makes sense. So yeah, that event's going to probably run based on how long our event was. That's probably going to run for at least 5 to 6 hours, and then you guys will do the coaching after?
Yes, yeah. So, I thought actually it may be a little longer than 6 hours, but apparently, this has been done before, and one ran about 4 hours and 15 minutes, 4 hours and 40 minutes, and the other ran about 6 hours.
So it's basically the times are being based off of another tournament that was ran, Principles of Strength, it's pretty accurate because also a lot of these players don't have to be taught how to do the banning process, don't have to be taught how to do a lot of the process, so it goes a lot quicker than you think. Honestly, the NA event, I think, was 4 hours, 15 minutes, and I think the EU event was 5 hours and something. It really wasn't that long. And it's just honestly because EU plays a little bit more control than NA does. That's all it was. That's the only reason why I think EU went a little bit longer, because a lot of the decks were control decks.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, I love it when your accent comes out.
I love it when he says sorry. Oh, sorry.
Hey, yeah. Swim and hype though, so probably 6 hours. Hey, if I know the tournament organizers and how it's going to be ran, I'll be very surprised if Swim and hype see each other until top 8. Hey, they don't rope that hard, man. Come on, they're just hard thinkers. We don't gotta talk crap. They like to think before they play cards. They don't just randomly throw cards on the board. Some people call it roping, other people call it thinking. I'll let y'all decide what it is. But I guess we can go into my socials now. I'm gonna switch back to the screen. So you can reach me on Twitter at Kozer88. Twitch.tv is Kozer88. And YouTube is YTKozer88.
Awesome. Then, guys, if you want to follow me and catch what I'm up to, best place to do it is going to be Twitter. It's at Smithel Gaming. If you also want to catch me streaming, I try to do it about once a week for a couple hours. I'm not a super hardcore streamer, but that'll be twitch.tv/Smithel. I will probably be streaming on Sunday for a good amount. Don't know what I'll be streaming, but if you watch on Twitter, you'll find that out. Obviously, again, if you're listening to the show and you want to interact and kind of get in on the chat, you can do so live, twitch.tv/weekly Poro Report. That's the best chance to do it and get a chance to talk to us and our guests, wonderful guests like Mavnis here. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at Poro Weekly. And then obviously in the YouTube description and Twitter and all that good stuff, we will have a link to our Discord community, which is another great opportunity for you to catch up with me and Kozer and just basically talk about what you're playing, how your progress is going and all that good stuff. So we would welcome you there. But other than that, again, Mavnis, really, really appreciate you on the show, man. It was a good time. I think we got a good message out and, had some fun talking about the game. So hopefully you come back.
Oh, I will definitely be back as long as you guys will have me.
Awesome. Sounds good. But I think with that, guys, we'll let you go. We'll throw the raid over to another Mobalytics partner since we are partnered with them. So give them a little bit of love. Say that you came from here and that you're saying hi. But other than that, guys, have a good night, and we will catch you next week. Take care.